Welcome to the Constructing a Business podcast presented by the CMC Network. At CMC, we help women and minority-owned enterprises overcome the obstacles they face every day in business. We help them by offering excellent networking opportunities, incremental business development, and construction-focused business coaching. My name is Michael Obither. I'm with Supporting Strategies NYC, an outsourced virtual bookkeeping team here in New York City. We help construction leaders build profit. Today on the pod, we have Hannah Franklin. She is with the Leeding Builders Group. And what she's bringing to the CMC membership is really her focus and 15 years of experience in New York City new business development, focused on operations, streamlining, quality management, and business process improvement. Very excited to speak with Hannah and learn how she's helping the CMC members build their businesses. Hannah, how are you today?
Hey, Michael. Good. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Excellent. So the question I like to start with everyone is really the same. I think construction's a unique place to spend your career. What attracted you to construction and development in New York City in the first place?
Well, I don't know that I can say I was necessarily attracted to it. I sort of had an atypical path into the industry. I had started in real estate sales and marketing in Pennsylvania, and I moved here and worked for a sales and marketing firm that did a ton of sales and marketing for new development, particularly Excel development company. And through that, I built relationships with Excel and ended up working with them for 7 years. So that's how I evolved to being on the development construction side. And from Excel, I went to Tishman Construction Company and then Leeding Builders Group. So I saw a need for quality management in the industry and sort of have just been chasing that path since.
Yeah, that's great. That's quite a transition from sales and marketing to what you're doing today.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. But it sounds like you were really interested in helping increase the quality of things.
Yeah, and it's being realistic about what quality expectations are in terms of the finished product, and then how do you get there in the most systematic way so that you are efficient in your process so that everybody makes the most amount of money, right? And so It's not just the quality of the finished product, but it's the quality of the entire process getting to the finished product.
So let's talk a little bit about what those processes and those products mean in terms of the CMC membership and the construction businesses that are growing as part of our team. How does this affect their estimating process, right? I feel like if the project is requesting a certain level of finish or product quality, is it on the construction business owner's shoulders of understanding what those material costs are and then integrating that into their estimation process? Is that part of the role that you play?
I don't do our estimating. We have an in-house department that does that, but from a subcontractor perspective, they start with the information they're provided, right, which is drawings and specs. And to be a strong subcontractor, you want to provide realistic pricing. I would never say don't underprice from the beginning. It's easy to come down on your number. It's harder to go back up, right? If you've tried to cut corners from the beginning. And then also be proactive about providing suggestions, whether it's a better product, a cheaper product. Those could be the same things. They could be different. But if you know that one product fails over and over, that's spec'd, tell them, educate people. That you make yourself more valuable as a subcontractor by doing that. And that's, part of the estimating, budgeting process.
Okay, so that's very interesting. So what you're saying here is rather than just being, just taking what's given to you in the bidding process and saying, okay, great, I can do that. You're saying as a business leader in the construction industry, be a real leader and say, hey, these two things that you have spec'd, I've worked with, or I've seen them fail. here are some alternatives. They're at a different price point, maybe more or less, but
it's,
and I guess that would depend on I'm sorry?
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask, I guess that would be dependent on the developer's intended use, right? Is it being built as a long-term, are they going to hold it and rent it, or are they going to sell these off?
Yeah,
So
and it depends.
What is
Yeah, it totally depends on what trade we're talking about, right? Like for an example, there's a plumbing. I don't know if it's a specific product or if it's a way of fusing pipes. It's called ProPress, and it's spec'd on a lot of jobs because it's cheaper. But we found that it has failed a lot, and so when that fails, that in the long run isn't actually cheaper because it costs a lot more money to then repair from those leaks that occur from failing ProPress locations, and or replacing the pipe entirely because we realize that it's failing in 10 locations and it's not worth risking it failing more, so we're going to change the product altogether. So so that's one example, and that shouldn't be determined whether it's a rental or a condo, because that's the true integrity of the building, right? Not the finishes.
Right, of course, that's going to damage the reputation of the developer, right? If the whole team is going to suffer from that. So as a newer, because a lot of the CMC members are newer,
right?
Not brand new, but newer. How would you help them, or how would you recommend they seek to understand the different qualities of these products in general? Right. If you're coming in and there's a spec sheet or you have to respond to a request, do you recommend they do research on some of the different products that are being spec'd?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're not already familiar with them, I would do research, and if you know people in the same trade, maybe at a different scale or maybe in a different city, reach out to them and ask them if they know about it and what their experience has been. That's so valuable to get somebody else's experience with the product or material. And they have, unless they run the company of that product or material, they have no interest in telling anything but the truth about it, right? Which is what we all need. So yeah, I would definitely research. Don't necessarily just take what you're given. Again, if you can provide alternate suggestions that would save money up front or save time and money in the long run because you've seen a product fail, or of a product, that just would be more efficient or cheaper from the beginning, suggest that. And if there isn't on a job, there isn't, right? But add that valuable input when you can.
Yeah, this is a little bit of legwork that needs to be done by the contractor. How does this become, because I know you do a lot of operations work, right, in your role, and streamlining operations. So is there a best practice or a process of making this part of the bidding process, or is it just a matter of doing it? I feel like there's probably a best practice around this, making sure that it's done properly. And there may be, if you're suggesting a change in material, the best way to present that. Is there a best way to present that?
Yeah, I mean, I would present it and with your reasons why you're presenting it, right? Don't just say here's an alternate, right? Like, why are you providing that alternate? What's the benefit of it? Is it a cost saving? Is it a function improvement? What is the intent of that? Yeah, does that make sense?
Okay, so it doesn't need to be like a super formal process. Just
No,
a matter
I don't think so.
of knowing.
And if you've received an RFP, a request to bid a project, I would, create an internal checklist of every bid. What are the things that we need to be looking for, and make sure that we, to protect ourselves, we account for, and then to provide value to the client, we can suggest or look for improvements.
That's great. So let me ask you, I'm curious because I know you're running a lot of the curriculum development for CMC. What are as CMC is getting started now? I mean, it's a growing network, and I've spoken with several of our clients, which are leaders of construction firms. What is your focus right now in terms of curriculum development for these new business leaders? What do you see are the most important first steps as it relates to growing construction business?
So the curriculum that I am the chair of the committee is for the labor development program. And that's super critical to our industry. If we don't have enough construction laborers, they're so critical and such a backbone to keeping projects running on a daily basis. So there's a huge need for that in the market, to have a pipeline and supply chain of that. To give people opportunities to grow and develop further into trades, or if they want to go onto the project management side, because there's just ever growing demand in the industry for that. So our focus is to develop a really robust curriculum that equips people to be the best construction laborers they can, and then builds a foundation that they can grow on to, again, either go into the trades or the PM side, or whatever they find they're passionate about.
So is this helping the business owner develop talent in their own team, or is this geared more toward the future business owner or the current business owner?
So it's a little bit of a mixed bag. If a business owner comes to us and says we need 10 laborers, the network can pull from people that they know want to enter the program. Or if a business comes to us and says, hey, we have these people that we want to get trained in a better or different way, we can enroll them. So it just depends on the need from the businesses or the industry.
Gotcha. And long term, right before we started recording, you were talking about the need to develop great talent, great labor talent pool. What is the state of that pool right now? I know we're in a very interesting period in labor where there's a ton of job openings in general. Mm-hmm. So what are you seeing in the industry today? Is there a significant lack, or are people moving into construction as a way to, build a life?
Yeah, so I think it's a mixed bag. Sorry about that background noise. There's, we've started this curriculum development pre-pandemic, and there was still a great need for construction laborers, and then even people going into the trades. And I think that need has probably grown throughout the pandemic. So there's a demand for people to enter construction labor and then the trade. So our goal is to equip people to be construction laborers, and then again grow from that, and hopefully go into the trades if they find passion or particular interest in one of those, because there's a huge demand across the trades for skilled tradespeople. And so it's a micro need to also meet a macro need in the industry long term.
Yeah, definitely. I just had a conversation with Mike Tedisco, who's another member of the team at CMC, and his focus is helping businesses develop apprenticeship programs as a way to help people enter the trades and get licensed to become more skilled and increase their pay as professionals. And it seems like the two of you are working really on the same goal, maybe from different angles.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Are you and Michael working together on any of the curriculum?
We've met, and I think he's going to provide input here and there, as we develop the curriculum. So yeah, for sure, he's definitely roped into that. Yeah, Vivian will let him get away with anything else.
No, Vivian will not let anyone get away who has a unique skill set for
Yeah.
sure. So in terms of the membership, the pro or the contractor members of the CMC, are there any specific questions or concerns they're bringing to you? Right, I've spoken to a few of them, and they've made the rounds through the different professionals, insurance, legal, payroll,
Mm-hmm.
accounting. Have you had an opportunity to speak with any of the members about their own development process for talent?
I haven't yet. I haven't connected with them yet. I think I'm later in the pipeline of that, but looking forward to it. And my goal is to always really kind of deep dive into a business's processes and what their vision and long term goal is, and how we can make their processes and development today set them up to attain their long term goals and visions. So, and that's all done through quality management, right? So, what are your you kind of have to first establish what do you want your benchmarks to be in terms of your quality and everything that you do, and your processes, and your bidding and your billing and your all of that. So it's all really important to take a focused look at and be really intentional in the process.
Yeah, it definitely is part of the growing process of a business. So, in the bookkeeping space where I work, it's not as broad a range as maybe you're looking at, but
Mm-hmm.
there is that process of assessing where someone is in their business, where they're headed, what their goals are, and
Right.
helping them build a process and a program that's going to help them reach those goals and beyond. It never really, it's a moving target
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
most people, right? As you grow, your needs change and become more complex. But it's amazing that the CMC has someone like you with your background. Um, I'm excited to do two things as we move forward in this, and that is to talk with you as our membership moves into a place where they are working with you directly.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of my favorite things is speaking with the contractors and
Yeah.
hearing how their perspective on business has changed as a result of speaking with people like you, people like
Mm-hmm.
Viv, the other members of the professional team. Um, I guess as we wrap this up, I do want to ask you this question. This is a question I like to ask, and I know you haven't been working actively with the contractors just yet, but in your work, is there a first step for a business owner, that they should be addressing first? I'm sure it's different from contractor to contractor, but in general, is there a big gap that you see people missing early on in their business development?
That's a tough one. Um, I mean, I, I don't know if there's like a very specific. I would just say be as clear as you can on what your process and your standards will be for how you're going to operate. And that doesn't mean that those can't change, because the sort of one of the backbone thoughts of quality management is that it is continuous improvement. So it's not ever really expected that you're going to put a process in place and it's going to stay that way for 20 years. It's very likely that it will change as your business changes and grows and develops. So, get really clear on, based on where we are today, what is the best way to operate and what are our processes across the board. So cross-functionally within our business, and then cross-functionally with our clients and our suppliers.
Yeah. No, that is. So well, I guess that's great. I really want to thank you for taking the time and explaining what you're here to do
Mm-hmm.
and how it helps people grow. If someone wanted to reach out and ask a question related to these topics, what is the best way for them to reach you, Hannah?
So they can email me at thehannahfranklin@gmail.com, or call me or text me. My number is, I'll give it to everybody now. It's 917 207-7888. Or you can find me on LinkedIn, reach out.
Perfect. And for everyone listening, if you're looking for more information about the CMC Network, you can find us at cmcnetwork.co. And my name is Michael Lobither. You can find me on LinkedIn, and I'm always happy to answer any questions that you have about the CMC or bookkeeping or anything else you've heard on this podcast. I really appreciate you listening. We'll see you in the next one.